Hey, how's it going? What's up? Today we are reading an article about Livia Silva. So Livia Silva is this actress from an Amazon Prime show that I came across, and it was called Summer. I was just like looking for something to watch one night on Amazon Prime, and I came across or it was called Autumn or something. I'll put it in the description box, but this girl is like an 18-year-old Brazilian actress, and so for context, I have personally traveled to Brazil, and while I was there, I learned quite a lot about culture, society, race, economics, class, things like that. And I feel like I've talked about that a little bit in other videos, so I'll put that in the description box. But I feel like Liv kind of talks about that. I love her because her name is Livia, and I also love her because she's sort of like my skin complexion. She has very like curly hair. Like I appreciate the diversity, especially in Latin America. Anything that is not white is pretty much considered black. So I know we're having a lot of conversations about colored, but it's not like so black and white there. Well, how can I say this? There's like negra is a thing, and so pretty much like everyone who's brown is like negra. Anyway, so let's kind of read a little bit about her, and I'll just add some commentary as we go. So Livia Silva Teca in Renascer reflects on her experience in soap operas. Occupying these places moves me a lot. It's awesome. Sorry, my cat is trying to eat my cord. Brew, please don't. Artist, who is one of Globo's favorites of this generation, reflected on her career, behind the scenes challenges with audio-visual objectives in an interview with Glamour. So this is kind of cool too, because she's interviewed for like a beauty magazine. That is kind of historic. So I'm translating this from Portuguese, so I'll also put it in the description box. At 18 years old, Livia Silva already has important works on her CV. Having worked in films and series, the actress is now experiencing the recording routine of a soap opera for the first time by giving life to Teca in the rerun of Renascer on TV Globo. I think this is like a Latin American television show. With the responsibility of interpreting and adopting the character created by Paloma Duarte in 1993, the artist reinforces that the butterflies in creating a character are even greater. When every actor starts to build a new character, they feel huge butterflies in their stomach, fear of what people will think, fear of how our role will be interpreted by the general public. But Teca came with even greater weight because it was already a role that Paloma Duarte had played so beautifully, and that I also had to honor. So some things that are interesting here, I lack so much context because I'm an American, so I don't know who this person is, and I've never seen the show before now. I did it a little differently than hers because it's a soap opera I did it a little differently than hers because it's a soap opera that's airing in 2024 with current issues and a lot of things that are happening nowadays. Everything is up to date, so I need to bring this to Teca for today, for the present, so that the whole of Brazil understands, she confesses in a conversation with Glamour. Livia has been immersed in the world of art since she was 9 years old. From stage to screen, the actress was just 11 years old when she made her first film, Mar Nostrum. Since then, her passion for audio-visual has taken over, In addition to the soap opera, the actress has participated in works such as Sesao Terapia and Un Año Inesquiva Primavera. Mare Nostrum was my first connection with audiovisual. I remember that more than 300 girls had already auditioned, but when it was my turn, the director was enchanted by me. Since then, we have had a very good relationship. Oh, that's nice. It was my first project after almost 2.5 years in theater. So I already felt very prepared to be able to do it. And it was there where I discovered many things about art and audiovisual, which is an era in which I connect a lot, he reveals. I've always been very passionate about art. It has always been something that moved me a lot. I remember the first time I went to the cinema, I was hooked. I think that's a thing too. I feel like there's some youth who grow up going to movies, watching movies, having these really cool experiences with cinema. And then there's kind of like everyone else. Like some of us heavily identify with films, and then I feel like there's just other people who they don't feel the same way. Like they don't get the same like ick or something, or like tick. Like the movies don't move the culture in this for them the same way that the movies move the culture, say for like me. I don't remember the film I watched, but I remember seeing the actors on the big screen and it filled me with emotion. Her eyes shined in a different way. Nothing anywhere else in my life shined as brightly. Livia Silva. So this is a quote by her. And then it says, searching for a dream. In the new phase of the soap opera Renaissance, Tekka appears with an important role in the plot, defining the fate of other characters. Marginalized, homeless, and pregnant as a teenager, the character raises important and delicate issues that are adapted to the present day. Even outside her comfort zone, Livia says the experience is an important step for her career and that she has been excited about the process from the beginning. It's one of the craziest, happiest experiences of my life. Every actor's dream is to have greater visibility and have their work recognized by the general public. The soap opera is an open door. It is in the Brazilian's home, and we ask permission to enter people's homes, she says, remembering that she was going through a difficult time when she received the invitation to be a part of the cast. I just want to stop for a moment and comment on a couple of things that she said so far. The first thing is like to be an 18-year-old taking on a role that is unpacking themes, like complex adult themes, like being pregnant, homelessness. That kind of says a lot about the culture and the society, specifically in Brazil, because they don't have social safety nets in the same way that we do. And I think that is really important to highlight, because the social safety net allows, it ensures that all adolescents are taken care of, and there actually is some sort of like government system in place to ensure that like everyone goes to public school and everyone is housed and shit. Like there are people actually living on the streets, and like if children are born and they don't have parents who have money to be able to afford things, they like just won't have them. And so when youth are, restricted to, let's say like the streets, it's like I'm saying it in a very like broad way, the streets, but the reality is like the streets are kind of a lot because all of the gangsters are there, all of the drugs are there, but also all of the poor people are there, and there's always more poor people than wealthy people in any society. So that's kind of important to keep in mind. She also says that she was going through a lot when this came out, and I wonder like what she was going through. I don't know. The challenge of facing a character completely different from what she used to do was also essential for Livia's development as an actress. Different slang, style, and even accent were part of the preparation for her to become Tekka in front of the cameras. Tekka deviated from many things I'd always done. It was completely out of my comfort area, firstly because it comes from a very harsh reality. Yeah, I think that's very interesting, and I also wonder why do they always cast people from higher socioeconomic backgrounds in roles that depict poverty when there's just like actually impoverished people who could play those roles? I think that that's very strange. It like consistently happens, which I think is kind of weird. She begins the novel going through numerous issues of vulnerability. So for me, it was a process of experimenting. I'm a person who, when I challenge myself to face character issues, like other slang and other accents, I really like to go in depth and study them well, so much so that the karaokas are thinking that I'm from Rio, a sign that it's working, she jokes, who also reflects on the expectations of fans of the first version of the soap opera in relation to Tekka's story. That's interesting. So this story already has like people who are heavily invested in the character and understand it, and now she's taking on like the redevelopment of this character, and that's kind of cool. Okay, so because it's a role that's already been played, I think it's much more difficult for us to get out of what the public already had in their heads. I try to bring my pains, joy, and frustrations to become more truthful. Sometimes I meet people in the street and they ask, will this happen to Tekka? And sometimes it doesn't happen because the story has been updated a lot. There are things that obviously haven't been changed, but the story brought to our times, and I feel like I'm managing to bring a little bit of everything I'd like to add to it. Born in Sao Bernardo do Campo in Sao Paulo, it wasn't just her Sao Paulo accent that Livia had to give up. Accompanied by her mother, the actress temporarily moved to Rio de Janeiro to bring the character to life. That's interesting. So when I visited Brazil, I visited Sao Paulo. Sao Paulo is like the most developed, is it a city, right, in Brazil. It's got these, I made a video about this, it's like in Tepa, which is this really expensive mall. It's very Americanized, right? But Rio de Janeiro is like very black. It's a lot of beaches, a lot of poverty, favelas. So this story that she's playing the character of is coming from Rio. Now this kind of makes sense because like most of the brown people are actually coming from Rio, but then this is also interesting because we see like Anita, that singer, who's also from Rio. It's a very impoverished place, but Anita's more like white looking, right? But she's like making all these songs, girl from Rio, even though the average person from Rio doesn't look anything like Anita. So anyway, that's interesting. They look way more like Tekka or like Livia. My sister and my father are still in Sao Paulo. My heart gets very tight, but sometimes I can do a back and forth very quickly. Still, it has been painful. We really changed a lot of things. My mother also had to abandon a lot of her dreams to come with me. That's interesting. A lot of parents in show business have to do that. My family has always been very supportive of everything I've done. So for me, it's been easier because they've always supported me and been on my side. Sometimes they come to Rio too. My mother is living here with me, but obviously we miss home, we miss our friends, but it's part of our job. I think that if we didn't change ourselves and leave our comfort zone, nothing would be as cool and as beautiful as it is, she confesses. Behind the camera. Those who watch Livia on TV can't even imagine the busy day-to-day life behind the scenes with an intense recording routine. She says that a lot of work, concentration, and preparation are necessary to bring the character to life. The soap opera has a much faster pace. In films and series, we still have more time to understand the scene. In a soap opera, there isn't always time to study every detail. We prepare the character during the process. We have support from the trainer, but it is a very intense recording pace. Unlike series and films where 2 scenes per day are normally recorded, in soap operas we sometimes record 15 per day. I didn't know that. Everything is much faster. They already know exactly what plan they want to show, exactly where they want us to position ourselves. At first, I was a little scared, but then I got used to it, and I consider myself a chameleon, and I adapt to the environments I'm in, and I feel very adapted to the soap opera. I already want to do more, reveals the actress, who reinforces that sharing the routine with other experienced artists is a positive point. I'm on the other side of an intense and powerful cast. I've learned a lot from them, observed a lot, and seen how they make everything seem easy with mastery, beauty, and lightness. I learned a lot as a professional and as a person. It's a 10-month relationship, so we create lifelong friendships, and I hope to keep them close and meet them in future soap operas too. That's fascinating. So imagine an emerging actress in America having an ambition to be a soap opera star. I feel like people fall into that, but that's never the goal. So that's interesting. Tekka has a lot of Brazilian women. She is very strong, determined, combative, and when she puts an idea in her head, that's it and it's over. She fights for what she believes in, for what she thinks is right. She has the strength of a lioness. At the same time, she is just a girl who also wanted to enjoy her adolescence, but she's pregnant and has gone through countless issues of vulnerability, was abandoned by her parents, and left in foster homes. It's a harsh reality for many Brazilian women and girls. Is it? I don't know. Okay, there's only a little bit more of this, so we can finish it. Art and its obstacles. From the moment she made her debut on Globo's prime time, Livia says she's also began to be seen as a public figure. I believe that. There's not that many people who look like her who have media exposure, especially in Brazil. Thus, the relationship she had with social media also transformed. At the beginning of this process, I was very aware of what people were saying about me, about my performance, about Tekka. Social networks also make us become too attached to what people think and forget why we are here. That's a good point. Nowadays, I don't look at comments as much, and I don't let them hit me as powerfully as I used to. But it's really very different. People start to recognize you on the street. They say they love you without even knowing you. I'm very happy and honored to receive all of this love and affection, she reveals. One of the promises of the generation, the actress reinforces the importance of representation in the artistic world, especially with the lack of opportunities. We continue to face countless difficulties, even more so as Black women. There are very few opportunities, and even when we conquer these places, we can be replaced by influencers. But I think that once we study and prepare for this, we can, yes, make a soap opera. I wonder why that's the goal. Black women are often placed in little boxes in the audiovisual world, and we are not just that. We also have true stories, and we know how to do this beautifully and lightly, and we also know how to just talk about racism or the prejudice that we suffer, because we are more than that, she reveals. How are we going to combat racism and prejudice if all the time we are given opportunities, we are placed in stereotypes that we've always been placed in since the time of slavery? What we have most in Brazil are powerful people. We just lack opportunity, she adds, reporting that she already receives messages from women and girls who are inspired by her to become an actress. I feel like, I don't know if that's a positive thing, especially for women coming from the developing world to have an ambition to be an actress. It's just like this, it's like the men who have the ambitions to become NBA players. There's just a lot of other things that you could aim to be that might be like a lot easier to tackle, and I wonder why more people don't tackle that. I'm too young. Occupying these spaces moves me a lot and makes me feel like everything is working out. I feel very honored to take mine with me, both my family and my skin brothers, my equals. We really need opportunities, and I think that if we occupy these positions, other people will come. It's that saying, I'm going to run so someone else can walk a little slower, she says. I actually like that quote. I don't know, I wonder what you guys think. Do you know Tekka? Do you watch any of her shows?